Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the December 1st, 2016 meeting of the Columbia County Planning Commission to order. If you'd stand with us, Commissioner Gallius will lead us in our invocation. Commissioner Henderson will lead us in the pledge.
Our great and merciful Lord, thank you for the community that we live in, all the blessings we enjoy. Thank you for the rain which nourishes our ground and our land. We ask blessings for our first responders. It's been a hard time this year as they protect us and stand between us and danger. We ask you to come reside with us as we deliberate upon the health and well-being of our community. Amen. Flag, United States of America, Republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Thank you. Be seated. If I could ask you to please silence your cell phones. We do have a quorum tonight with 4 commissioners present. We do have one absence tonight with Commissioner Skinner. He has a little issue he's dealing with personally, and hopefully he'll be with us on the next meeting. Gentlemen, we do need to approve the minutes from the November 17th, 2016 meeting. I believe we did have one amendment, Ms. Liz, with the nomination and election of the second vice chair. And has that addition been made? Okay, awesome. Gentlemen, with that, is there any other changes to the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, need a motion to approve.
So move, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussions? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. Gentlemen, do we have any amendments or changes to the agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve the current agenda as it stands.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. We have no presentations tonight. However, I would like to read a statement in for the record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to clarify that the Planning Commission is a recommending body to the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. The decisions made on rezoning and variance requests tonight will be forwarded to the commissioners for final action on December 20th. Is that correct? 2016. If you wish to address the Board of Commissioners at their meeting, please see Miss Elizabeth over here in the corner and obtain a request to speak form. During our public hearings, we're a little less formal here. We'll allow folks to get up and speak for 3 to 5 minutes to give us their position either for or against or whatever they'd like to communicate on a particular issue. With that being said, we'll skip down the agenda to our public hearings. The first, Ms. Bolte, I believe you have file RZ 161201.
Yes, sir. This is a request for rezoning at 4519 Jesse Road from R2, it's single-family residential, to S1 special with conditional uses for a place of worship and a cemetery. This is for an existing church that's on this property and has been in this location for quite a while. The property is located west of Bel Air Road, kind of behind the Food Lion, and is currently zoned R2. Surrounding properties are residential in nature. It's a mix of PUD, R2, some R3A, but it is entirely residential in this area. This is an aerial of the site. You can see the existing church building, and this is the cemetery over on this side. And this is a street view of the property. On our future land use map, this is part of the neighborhood character area. This is primarily a residential area, but community buildings such as churches are appropriate in these areas. This is the proposed site plan for the church. There's no changes planned to the existing building. The only changes will be to pave the parking lot probably in the next 5 to 7 years. And they do intend to replace the church sign. And staff is recommending approval with a condition regarding the lighting on the sign. Since this is a residential area, we are requesting that if they do install an LED message board or similar sign, that they do turn it off between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, any questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant here this evening? Yes, ma'am. Would you like to come forward and give us your any more information than staff's given us? Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve with condition, file RZ 12-01.
Do I hear a second?
Second, sir.
Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. And what you'll need to do is come back to the commissioners' meeting on the 20th, and they'll do the same thing. We're a recommending body, so that they take our recommendations, consider them, give them any additional changes that they'd like to see, if any, and then their decisions are binding. All right, thank you all for coming out. We've got a variance tonight, file VA 161201. Mr. Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a variation, 507 Furious Ferry Road. Current zoning is C1 and R3. The request is a variation to CPOD requirements. Applicant is Little U.S. Operations. It shows the location of the property. It's on the east side of Furious Ferry Road. Again, just to the north is Westlake, and the other developments, Forest Creek and the Pass as well. This shows a zoning map of the area. Again, the property is split zone C1 at the front.
Excuse me, Mr. You all are welcome to stay, but I think you want to go.
Yeah, go right ahead. You're not going to bother us.
Thank
We're
you.
used to folks walking out on us.
So again, the property is split zoned, C1 at the front and R3 at the rear. The north is Westlake PUD, and then you have the other PUDs around it. And you have C1 to the south and R3 as well. Again, it shows an aerial view of the site. It's currently in site plan review, so nothing's been done there yet. And a street view of the site, again, not developed yet. Again, the applicant has requested to exceed the 25% maximum glazing for the front elevation, which faces Furious Ferry Road. And also on the next slide, we have the TPO roof that's on the rear. They're also requesting variation for. And this shows the proposed building. Again, the amount of glazing is quite a bit, but it is a very striking design compared to what's around it and also what's in the county, in all honesty. But we do, and also here's the rear of the building as well. And again, some of the materials, you have brick on the side, but then this here is stucco. And one of the concerns that we have with the both the roof, or actually we'll go with the glazing first, is that due to the high amount of the glazing and also with the site plan, they are over their maximum parking requirements. So we are requesting a condition for a pedestrian space. We look at it here, which reduces their parking down to the maximum amount, and also will provide a additional screening, also interest for the amount of glazing they have. In terms of the roof, we do have a condition, or request a condition for an undisturbed buffer on the side, and it actually would be undisturbed for the whole length, but from approximately here down would be supplemented with additional vegetation as needed. Again, it's one of those that when they're in the site plan review process, also when they start building it, we'll know more of what needs to be added. And part of that is due to the fact that this parking lot that's here is higher than the adjacent property. And so we want to lessen the impact of that roof as much as possible on that adjacent property. And again, the context of the area, across the street you do have a BI-LO and also a Sonic. And yes, this does look very similar on the Sonic to what they're proposing. But again, the amount of glazing is very high compared to what's around it. And also, you do have next door a standing seam roof on the Wells Fargo. And again, staff does recommend approval of conditions. Again, with setting for the pedestrian green space, and then also with the buffer as well as the color of the proposed CPO roof. That concludes staff recommendation.
Gentlemen, do you have any recommendation or any questions of staff?
Could you go back to the site plan? There. I'm sorry. Yeah. They're not going to face Furious Ferry. Is Furious Ferry to the left there?
Yeah, Furious Ferry is right here,
Yeah.
and they have the entrance to the building is right there. So the glazing, the large amount of glazing is right here, which faces out towards Furious Ferry. The front of the building again, the architect is here. You could argue that this is the Furious Ferry side is the front of the building itself. We would call it that because of how it's placed.
But it,
And also, one thing to consider from our standpoint as well is that this is the loading area back here, and if that faces faces Ferry's Ferry, that's an issue. There's actually another one in site plan review right now over on Lewiston Road that they've had to totally modify the site plan to alleviate that issue. So from that standpoint, it makes more sense to face it the way that it is.
What would it look, what would the proposed pedestrian space look like? What are we putting there?
That is, it would be landscaping, and that's up to the applicant, how they want to do that. You know,
What's our goal? Are we looking at height, or are we looking at having green space, parking space?
You're looking at having something that's going to have somewhat of a buffering effect to it. You know, it could have a few trees in it. It could have lots of shrubbery.
So some height, but it's not going to block the view.
It wouldn't block it totally.
What-
That is not the intent.
yeah, but since this faces the side, it's not affecting anybody, right? Turn sideways.
So the entrance is.
Well, I mean, you have all the glasses all right here in the front, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, this, if it was, you know, further down, would be right in front of the glass. But this provides this is actually an easier place for them to put it. To be honest with you, because they also have this pedestrian connection that comes in like this. So then that way, there's an easier connection to make into that area. So that's kind of we hope that it's used by pedestrians and also by people who are shopping there, and also to provide a unique space for Lidl that's a little different than what else is out there.
I live,
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a pedestrian there in a year. Maybe eventually.
Changing nature of Columbia County.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Maybe a horse.
All right. Gentlemen, any other questions? Okay, is the applicant here this evening? Yes, sir. Would you like to come forward and give us any additional information? Give us your name and home address.
My name is Eric Marks. I'm with MG2 Corporation representing Lidl US. I actually live in Bethesda, Maryland. Lidl is happy and amenable to the buffer change and amenable to the pedestrian space recommendation. However, we would prefer not to, at this time, have it be descriptive that it's as proposed per Mr. Butler's plan. We would prefer to, in the site plan approval process, locate it in an appropriate manner in that way and not have the stipulation be that, as it's currently shown by staff, is the only location it can go in. The program of that, as well as Noah said, we'd like to have those discussions during site plan approval as well. We are amenable to a pedestrian space and a green space. We have to get down to the maximum parking requirement, and to do that in a green manner is something that Lidl is. Our preference is not to, at this time, state that it has to be in this specific.
So you'd like us to have a proposed pedestrian space of, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, of the equivalent of 8 spaces somewhere on the property, just not there?
That's correct.
But you're amenable to that? Okay.
Lidl US is, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any ideas to where you would like it?
Not at this time. We only saw staff recommendations a couple days ago and haven't really given it some great thought. But during the site plan approval process, we know that we can come up with a great solution.
Can you come up with it between now and the 20th when you come before the commissioners?
I'm sure a revised site plan can be submitted with the location.
Okay, in time for staff to review and critique?
Sure.
You know, I do have one question. You're going to be located next, and I know this is not germane to the conversation tonight, but one of the issues that has been raised to me is about overnight deliveries of fresh produce. What are your plans? Because we do have one of the higher-end subdivisions as a neighbor of yours. What accommodations can we expect to be made for those residents so they don't hear trucks idling through the middle of the night and that kind of thing? You looking at standby electric, or you know, are there any accommodations being made for that? Because that'll be the one thing we will hear about.
Sure. I will defer to Forrest Etter with Lidl US.
Okay, thank you. All right, give us your name and home address, please, sir.
I'm Forrest Etter. I'm with Lidl US. I live in Durham, North Carolina. To address the delivery issues, our plan is to be as efficient as possible with deliveries. So we're planning on only a once-a-day delivery schedule, and it will happen during the day. And from our distribution time for any overnight.
Okay. And the reason we ask, we've got a Walmart marketplace on South Bel Air Road, and that has become an issue there. So we just want to try to get ahead of the curve, and so we don't have to deal with this with another subdivision. So
So when you say daytime delivery, is the process completed and the truck is gone by 5, 6, 7 o'clock?
I would say probably by 10 p.m. Yeah, and again, we're aiming for a once a day delivery, so there won't be multiple trucks coming in times throughout the day.
Okay, cool. Gentlemen, any other questions?
Since we're speaking of germaneness, I grew up in Bethesda, Maryland. That has no bearing on this.
Gentlemen, in regards to the glazing, by what percentage do you see exceeding the 25%?
So through the calculations we provided, we've exceeded the one face. You're at 86.5% on the one facade, but we are under, for the total building, we are under the 25% for the total.
Now, is this a typical design for Lidl?
This is the Lidl prototypical.
Okay.
And the parking is typical to, or within?
Quantity-wise, it is within prototypical.
Okay.
Now, you all got one location in Columbia County, one location in Richmond County that you're looking at?
That's correct. Both of those are currently, the Richmond Grovetown site is not under construction, it's under site plan review, the other site.
Okay, so Grovetown, we are looking for a third location in the area?
There's one under construction in North Augusta.
Okay. Did I hear Alexander Drive too? Okay, so 4 or 5 stores in the area? Okay, awesome.
How many do you all have total? Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Mainly East Coast?
I'm not familiar with your brand. I mean, you like a Trader Joe's or an Aldi or a
Yeah, I'm happy to speak about it a little bit. So
Sure.
Lidl is it's Europe's largest retailer. We have about 10,000 stores in 27 countries all across Europe. Our first foray. Similar to Trader Joe's, it's about 90% private label, so most of it will be brand. And the aim is the highest quality goods at probably Walmart, Aldi prices. So really reasonable prices, but really exceptional shopping experience inside and out. Yes, Trader Joe's.
I'm not familiar with Trader Joe's. Walmart, I don't know.
You need to get out more.
Yeah, definitely not Walmart. Quite a departure from that.
So what's your sweet spot as far as product? Are you just across the board where I could do all my shopping there, or are you all going to specialize in particular areas where it's fresh fruit, meat, whatever?
It'll be a one-stop shop.
Pharmacy?
No pharmacy plans at the moment. If we want.
Okay, awesome. How long is it going to take you to break ground and finish?
Construction schedule's about 8 months, depending on how much site work.
Okay. How many employees?
Last month we had about 500 in the U.S., hiring at about.
Okay, how many employees per store?
I'm not sure I can answer that. Probably.
Okay. Okay, what about your shopping hours?
Very many at all. Oh, they would be standard, I think, 9 to 9 as well.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
People work at the CVS.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak either for or against this particular variance? I get choked up here. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I want to move to approve with conditions. Want to caveat that a site plan prior to
Accommodating the request for an area equivalent to 8 parking spaces of a pocket park.
Let me ask a question. How many times will this be coming before us? This with the glazing, then we'll have the site plan.
No, once once this is either approved or denied, that should be it for the
That's,
site, unless they need other variances during site development. But at this point, with what they're showing, it doesn't look like they're going to need anything else beyond what they've got.
yeah, because it's already zoned.
It's already zoned.
Well, would they have any plans for the R3 behind it to ever have to convert it?
Only if they expanded the use onto that portion.
Okay.
There's a pretty significant pond back there and some
Yeah.
terrain difficulties. So most likely they wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay.
Have to do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, so I move to approve with conditions filed VA 161201, variation to the CPOD requirements at 507 Furious Ferry Road. Additional condition is that applicant will bring site plan for a parklet accommodating 8 parking spaces.
Okay, do her second.
Second.
Any discussion? Ma'am?
Changes things.
And also, the 8 parking spaces is actually more than they need
Yeah,
to eliminate. So it's going to depend on how they design it.
I counted 8 on here.
That wasn't a parking space.
The only
Two in the middle were-
other option would be to table it until they bring the new site plan.
Okay, that's a pedestrian
Yeah.
space, so it's 6, okay.
Oh, I see.
Either that, or you can make the motion to, based on staff approval. Could you?
If you're amenable to them having a pedestrian space or landscaped area like this on the site, and you'd rather leave it up to staff to approve and be comfortable with it, then we can work with the applicant on that as well. You're welcome to specify the location. If it's not these particular spots, it could be perhaps somewhere in this area between the building and.
Yeah, it needs final approval because, we don't want it back here in the back corner.
Right. So you're saying you would rather have that
Or,
someplace visible on the site?
well, I think I want somebody to have final approval. If this is our final vote, I want someone else to have final say after it's done. or when
Is
it's
this
done.
something staff and you all are comfortable with arriving at a solution together?
No, I think so. I think we can absolutely do that. I mean, they're hearing what you have to say tonight, so that they know that it has to be done. So
Okay.
as long as you guys are comfortable with the location moving around a little bit.
I just wanted to compliment the design and give you all every opportunity for it to do that. I trust them. So you want to restate your motion? Yeah, do it again.
All right, well, then
One more time.
I motion to approve file VA 161201 with conditions, and the additional condition that staff will have final approval of the location of the proposed pedestrian space.
Parklet.
The parklet.
Do your second.
Parklet in the minutes.
Does your second still hold? All right. Okay, any discussion,
Parklet in the
gentlemen?
minutes.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. All right, last item tonight. Mr. Butler filed VA 161202, variation of section 90-99 of the Corridor Protection Overlay District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is actually in Columbia County and Augusta, Richmond County. Location is 3410, 3414 Washington Road, also 109 Devant Road. Current zoning is C2 General Commercial. This shows the property. Again, you can see where Richmond County kind of cuts right through the middle of the site. And this is none of this is shown as existing, by the way, just to clarify. And again, it's on the south side of Washington Road and currently zoned C2. Shows an aerial view of the site again. The site is wiped clean at the moment. There's literally nothing there. Again, street view showing you what the current state of the site is. And the proposed site plan, again, it is half of the building is in Richmond County, the other half is in Columbia County. And just to let you know, this is in for site plan review right now. And we've been coordinating with Richmond County on the review process to make sure that it is a cohesive development. It doesn't have any sort of oddities where it's different on one side, not the other. This is a proposed elevation. On the Washington Road elevation, you can see the large amount of glass And then also the roll-up doors here and here. The amount of glazing on this, on the Columbia County side, again, we're kind of looking at both, at a building that's kind of split somewhere in here. The overall glazing is 67% of the Washington, of the Columbia County side of the building. And on the sides, again, there's not much glazing, but you do see the roll-up doors. And also you have roll-up doors facing Devont Road, which is here. And showing the proposed building, again, showing a large expanse of glass, as well as the roll-up door. And this shows the proposed doors. Again, staff is comfortable with these doors. These are not your normal doors that are on a project such as this. I mean, these are pretty space age looking, and also you can see right through them, as we can see in this picture. So again, we are comfortable with the doors themselves.
They have doors in their present location, right?
In the current Lexus, yes.
They have two.
Yeah.
They're not space age, but
They're not. No, they're not. But also the other deciding factor, also the glazing is acceptable as well. And kind of the deciding factor on that, if you look at what's around it, the context of it, you have Toyota and also Chevrolet that have large amounts of glazing, as well as doors on the front. And also, we didn't get a picture of it, but the new Infiniti dealership looks similar. Has lots of glass, the doors on the front. So we don't really see an issue with having that in this area.
Again, it's just in Richmond County.
And it's in Richmond County. But again, that is our rationale behind allowing this much glazing. Staff recommends approval of the request. Staff recommendation.
Gentlemen, any questions to staff?
is this the final approval, just like on the other?
Yes, that's correct. And their site plan doesn't require any variances. All the time you'll see it.
Do we have any signage variances coming for the sign package the manufacturer's going to require them to put up?
I'm not aware of any of that. The engineer is here this evening. He may be able to answer more of that.
All right. This is a public hearing. Is the applicant here this evening? Please come forward and give us your name and home address.
Yes, my name is David Banks. I live at 244 Waterville Road, and I am representing the applicant, Jack Parker, who's the vice president of Jim Hudson Automotive Group. He had knee surgery last week, so he couldn't make it. He didn't realize this was going to be. That was, yes. And I appreciate the all the good things that were said in the summary and recommendations of, this is car dealership. Visibility is very important, and it's also a place of employment for a good many people. And that light factor that you see more and more on, in office, because this is a second story will be also visible where all the corporate offices are, and it gives a good appeal to that also. But other than that, if there's any questions, I'd be.
Okay, so it's a two-story.
Yes, it's two-story. You can see on this picture.
You can see inside.
Yeah, right in. I guess I can touch this. Right in there is their office space.
Does it go all the way across?
Yes, sir, it does.
And this is
well, it's open. It's open. Where the
offices don't come all the way.
Yeah, they're set back from that area.
This is the current Lexus prototype they're asking everybody to build, or?
Well, that was a question I had of Mr. Parker, and he said they don't have a prototype. This is the same store they have built in Columbia, which is their home office, and it has been used by Lexus in other locations. So it's about as much of a prototype as they have.
Okay. And I understand they're going to use the existing facility. They're trying to secure Jag and Rover to put in that location.
I don't know.
Okay.
They were thinking about it one time using it as their used dealership, but then they decided not to do that. They want to keep all their try to upsell people to new ones. Well, for obviously they're not. He hasn't told me.
This isn't germane, but what are they going to do with the old location?
That's, from what I've heard, from a couple of sources, they're looking at Jaguar and Rover.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's in that,
Yeah, in the existing Lexus building.
okay.
Not a bad drop down.
All right, gentlemen, any questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Let me also add, David, real quick before you step down. You can take this back to your folks. The sign package, question about the sign package, if moving forward, we will, with car dealerships, encourage master sign plans, just because car dealerships typically have more signs in number and larger in size that their corporate office requires them to have.
Yes.
That may fly in the face of our sign ordinance or Richmond County sign ordinance. So just encourage them to come talk to us, if rather than try to muddle through at some point, trying to get temporary signs.
Yeah, I've asked that question, and they like to. I've been working on this job for 2 years, on the
Like an iceberg,
process,
I guess.
and they're very slow and very meticulous about what they do.
Sure.
And it took about 8 months to get Lexus approval for this.
Gotcha. Okay.
When are they going to start?
Already started.
Probably. Well, that was a demolition permitted project. So, probably be mid-February, if we can get all that process done.
And finish?
You'd have to ask Colkey Construction.
Oh. Thank you.
Okay.
Cool, thanks, sir. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either for or against this particular variation? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve file VA 161202, variation of CPOD requirements at 3410 and 3414 Washington Road, and 109 Devon Street.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 4-0. We have no additional items that need immediate action. We have no legal matters. Staff and commissioner comments? Okay. That's got to be a mistake.
Wait a minute.
How many votes did he get?
Does a commissioner own that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No comment.
Little
Rigged.
Go back. Who owns the Husbach, the Home 2 Suite? Anybody we know?
I don't think it's owned locally. I want to say they're out of Maryland.
Oh, okay.
It's a group.
It was the Flamanden group.
Okay.
Group that built that. And the way I understand it too, this is kind of an aside, but they are looking at doing a project in Columbia County.
Professional building. Second is ACHS. Tied with Gastro.
Didn't they get?
Good deal.
Money?
Fame and recognition.
Fame.
I mean, is this posted somewhere, or
Yeah.
newspaper, or Riverwood Bulletin?
Maybe.
Yeah. 5 copies.
A magazine. Sure, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I think this would be a good addition. Two buildings in Riverwood got the 2016 awards.
We're hot.
Yeah,
We're
we need
hot.
to get that out there.
Any other staff or commissioner comments? We don't have much public left. Y'all want to comment on anything? All right. Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion to adjourn at 6:34, carries 4-0. Next meeting is December 15th at 6 p.m. in these chambers. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, I had a phone call yesterday from a lady that claims to be representing Riverwood Magazine.